Welcome back. In the first two episodes, our vectors could do exactly two things, scale and add. They had no way to measure themselves. There was no length living inside the algebra, no angle, no way to even ask whether two vectors are perpendicular. Today, one operation fixes all of that, and it is almost insultingly simple. The dot product takes two vectors, multiplies their matching components, and adds the results into a single number. From that one little sum, we will extract the length of a vector, the angle between any two vectors, a clean test for perpendicularity, and the projection of one vector onto another. The secret behind all of it is a single identity. The dot product equals the product of the two lengths times the cosine of the angle between them. We'll prove it, use it, and finish with the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality, one of the most important one-line statements in all of mathematics. Let's give our vectors a ruler and a protractor. Let's define it precisely. Given two vectors, u and v and Rn, the dot product, written u dot v, is what you get by multiplying their corresponding components and adding everything up. So it's u1 times v1 plus u2 times v2 on through un times vn. The result is a single number, a scalar, not a vector. That's why it's also called the scalar product, or the inner product. Here's the canonical example. Take the vector 1, 2, 3 and dot it with the vector 4, 5, 6. Multiply matching entries, 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 6 is 18. Add them, 4 plus 10 plus 18 is 32. Done, the dot product is 32. A few algebraic properties we'll lean on. It's commutative, u dot v equals v dot u, since multiplication of numbers doesn't care about order. It distributes over addition, and you can pull scalars out. Taken together, those say the dot product is linear in each slot separately, a property we call bilinear, simple to compute, and as we're about to see, secretly geometric. Now, the heart of the episode. That same component-wise sum has a stunning geometric meaning. The dot product of u and v equals the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v times the cosine of the angle between them, where the angle is measured between 0 and 180 degrees with the two vectors sharing a tail. Why is this true? It comes straight from the law of cosines. Form the triangle whose three sides are u, v, and the vector u minus v. The law of cosines says the squared length of u minus v equals the magnitude of u squared, plus the magnitude of v squared, minus 2 times the magnitude times the cosine of the angle. Now expand that same squared length a different way, using the dot product. U minus v dotted with itself is the magnitude of u squared, minus 2 times u dot v, plus the magnitude of v squared. Set the two expressions equal. The squared magnitudes cancel from both sides, and what's left is u dot v equals the magnitudes times the cosine. On the left, pure algebra, a sum of products. On the right, pure geometry, lengths and an angle. The dot product is the bridge between them, and that bridge is the foundation of everything that follows. Here's the first payoff, and it's almost free. Take the identity and dot a vector with itself, set v equal to u. The angle between a vector and itself is 0, and the cosine of 0 is 1. So u dot u equals the magnitude of u times the magnitude of u times 1, which is just the magnitude of u squared. In other words, dotting a vector with itself gives its length squared. Turn that around, and the length of a vector is the square root of the vector dotted with itself, which, written out in components, is exactly the square root of the sum of the square components, our Pythagorean length from episode 1. So length isn't a separate idea bolted on, it lives inside the dot product. And distance comes along for free, too. The distance between 2 points p and q is the length of the vector p minus q, which is the square root of p minus q dotted with itself. The lesson is worth stating plainly. The dot product doesn't merely measure angles between vectors, it contains the entire notion of length and distance for the whole space. Now the second payoff, and it might be the single most useful fact in the course. Look at the identity again. The dot product is the lengths times the cosine. If the two vectors are non-zero, the lengths can't be 0, so the only way for the dot product to come out 0 is for the cosine to be 0, which means the angle is exactly 90 degrees. So for non-zero vectors, the dot product is 0 precisely when the vectors are perpendicular. In linear algebra, we use the word orthogonal for perpendicular, and the beauty is that this test costs nothing but a few multiplications and an addition. It works in any dimension, including spaces too high to picture. A few examples. 1, 0 dotted with 0, 1 is 0, the x-axis is perpendicular to the y-axis as it should be. Less obviously, the vector 2, 1 dotted with the vector -1, 2 gives -2 plus 2, which is 0. Those two are orthogonal even though it isn't visually obvious. And in 3 dimensions, 1, 2, 2 dotted with 2, 1, -2 gives 2 plus 2 minus 4, which is 0. The dot product turns geometry into a single arithmetic check. The third payoff is projection. Imagine shining a light straight down onto the line through V. The shadow that U casts on that line is a vector pointing along V, and it's called the projection of U onto V. Let's derive its formula. The reasoning is lovely. The projection must be some scalar multiple of V, call it lambda times V. The defining property is that the leftover piece, U minus the projection, should be perpendicular to V. That's exactly what it means for the shadow to capture all of U's component along V, so we demand that U minus lambda V dotted with V equals 0. Expand using the distributive property U dot V minus lambda times V dot V equals 0. Solve for lambda, it's U dot V divided by V dot V. Plug back in, and the projection of U onto V is U dot V over V dot V, all times V, or equivalently U dot V over the magnitude of V squared times V. If you only want the length of that shadow, the sign scalar projection, it's U dot V divided by the magnitude of V. Projection is how we decompose any vector into a part along a direction and a part perpendicular to it, and it returns constantly, in least squares, in Gram-Schmidt, everywhere. Projection does something more powerful than it first appears. It lets us split any vector into two clean pieces relative to a chosen direction. Fix a direction V. Then, any vector U can be written as its projection onto V, the part of U running parallel to V plus whatever is left over, which is the part of U perpendicular to V. And this decomposition is unique, there's exactly one way to do it. Let's confirm the leftover really is perpendicular. Take U minus its projection and dot it with V. Using our formula, that's U dot V minus U dot V over V dot V times B dot V. The second term's B dot V cancels, leaving U dot V minus U dot V, which is 0. So the remainder is genuinely orthogonal to V, every time. This, along plus the cross split, a parallel part and a perpendicular part, is one of the most reused ideas in all of linear algebra. It's the engine behind the Gram-Schmidt process, behind least squares regression, behind orthogonal projection onto subspaces, all of which arrive later in this course. And none of it would be possible without the dot product to define what perpendicular even means. Before the worked examples, one more gem that falls right out of the identity. Since the dot product equals the lengths times the cosine, and a cosine is never bigger than 1 in absolute value, the absolute value of the dot product can never exceed the product of the two lengths. That's the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality. An equality holds exactly when the vectors are parallel, where the cosine hits plus or minus 1. Cauchy-Schwarz quietly does crucial work. It guarantees that when you solve the identity for the cosine, the dot product divided by the product of the lengths, the result always lands between -1 and 1. That's what lets us define the angle between two vectors in any dimension at all, even spaces we can visualize. Without Cauchy-Schwarz, the angle formula might spit out a cosine bigger than 1, which would be nonsense. A direct corollary is the triangle inequality. The length of U plus V is never more than the length of U plus the length of V. Geometrically, the straight route is never longer than a detour through a third point. One identity, and the whole metric structure of space falls out. Let's put the geometry on a single canvas. Two arrows leave the origin, U in blue, reaching up and to the right, and V in orange, pointing mostly to the right. The gold arc between them at the origin is the angle theta, the very angle whose cosine the dot product computes. Now from the tip of U, we drop a red dashed line straight down onto the line through V, meeting it at a right angle. You can see the little square marking 90 degrees. The bold green segment lying along V from the origin to the foot of that dashed line is the projection of U onto V, the shadow U casts along V. And the red dash drop itself is the leftover, U minus its projection, which is perpendicular to V by construction. So this one picture splits U into two clean pieces, a part running along V, the green projection, and a part at right angles to V, the dashed remainder. That decomposition, parallel part plus perpendicular part, is one of the most useful moves in all of linear algebra, and it's nothing but the dot product at work. This figure shows the dot product reading the angle by its sign alone. 3 panels. In the first, the vectors 2, 1, and -1, 2 meet at a perfect right angle, and their dot product is 0. A right angle reads as a 0. In the middle panel, the two arrows make an acute angle, less than 90 degrees. Here the dot product comes out positive, because the cosine of an acute angle is positive. In the last panel, the arrows splay past 90 degrees into an obtuse angle, and the dot product turns negative, tracking the negative cosine. So the sign of the dot product alone tells you the kind of angle. Positive means acute. The vectors generally agree in direction. 0 means perpendicular. Negative means obtuse. The vectors generally oppose. You don't even need the magnitudes to know whether two vectors lean toward each other or away. That single bit of information, the sign, is enough, and it's why the dot product underlies things like cosine similarity in data science, where the sign and size of the dot product measure how much two data vectors agree. First worked example, find the angle between U equals 1, 2, 3, and V equals 4, 5, 6. 3 steps. Step 1, the dot product, 1 times 4 is 4, 2 times 5 is 10, 3 times 6 is 18, and they sum to 32. Step 2, the magnitudes. The length of u is the square root of 1 plus 4 plus 9, the square root of 14. The length of v is the square root of 16 plus 25 plus 36, the square root of 77. Step 3, the cosine of the angle, is the dot product over the product of the lengths. 32 over the square root of 14 times the square root of 77, which is 32 over the square root of 1078. That works out to about 0.975. Taking the inverse cosine gives an angle of roughly 13 degrees. That small angle makes sense. The vector 4, 5, 6 is nearly a positive multiple of 1, 2, 3, so the two arrows point in almost the same direction. In a handful of multiplications, the dot product handed us an angle in three-dimensional space. Geometry extracted from arithmetic. Second example, projection. Let's project u equals 3, 4 onto v equals 1, 0, and notice that v points straight along the x-axis, so we can check the answer against intuition. First, the two dot products in the formula. U dot v is 3 times 1 plus 4 times 0, which is 3. V dot v is 1 squared plus 0 squared, which is 1. So the projection of u onto v is u dot v over v dot v times v. That's 3 over 1 times the vector 1, 0, which is the vector 3, 0. Now does that match intuition? Projecting onto the x-axis should just keep the x component of u and throw away the rest, and indeed 3, 0 is exactly the x part of 3, 4. Let's also confirm the leftover is perpendicular. U minus the projection is 3, 4 minus 3, 0, which is 0, 4, pointing straight up the y-axis. Dot that with v equals 1, 0, and you get 0, confirming it's perpendicular to v, just as the derivation promised. The projection peeled off the part of u along v, leaving a remainder at right angles. Clean split. Third example shows how powerful the orthogonality test is as a tool. Question: for what value of k is the vector u equals k, 2, 1 perpendicular to the vector v equals 3, negative 1, 4? Perpendicular means the dot product is 0, so we just set it to 0 and solve. The dot product is 3 times k plus 2 times negative 1 plus 1 times 4. That's 3k minus 2 plus 4, which simplifies to 3k plus 2. Set that equal to 0, 3k plus 2 equals 0, so k equals negative 2/3. Let's verify. Put k equal to negative 2/3 back in. 3 times negative 2/3 is negative 2. Then minus 2 plus 4 is plus 2, and negative 2 plus 2 is 0. The dot product vanishes, confirming the two vectors are orthogonal. Notice what just happened. The geometric demand make these perpendicular turned into a single linear equation in k, which we solved in one line. Converting geometry into easy algebra like this is exactly what the dot product is for, and it's a move you'll make again and again throughout the course. A little history. Sums of products of components, the dot product in everything but name, show up in Lagrange's mechanics in the late 1700s, long before anyone called them a product of vectors. The famous inequality has 3 names attached to it across the 1800s. Cauchy proved a version for finite sums in 1821, Bunyakovsky extended it to integrals in 1859, and Schwarz gave the general form in 1888, which is why you'll sometimes see it called the Cauchy-Bunyakovsky-Schwarz inequality. When Hamilton built quaternions in 1843, the dot product turned up naturally as the scalar part of a quaternion product, sitting right alongside the cross product as the vector part. And in the 1880s, Gibbs and Heaviside pulled those two pieces apart into the clean dot and cross notation, with the little centered dot that every student learns today. Next time, we'll meet the other half of that split, the cross product. Let's recap. The dot product of u and v is the sum of the products of matching components, and its output is a single number. The whole episode rests on one identity. The dot product equals the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v times the cosine of the angle between them. The bridge from algebra to geometry. From it, everything else falls out. Length comes from dotting a vector with itself. The magnitude of u is the square root of u dot u. Two non-zero vectors are orthogonal, perpendicular, exactly when their dot product is 0. The angle between any two vectors has cosine equal to the dot product over the product of the lengths. The projection of u onto v, u's shadow along v, is u dot v over the magnitude of v squared all times v, and the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality says the absolute value of the dot product never exceeds the product of the lengths, which both makes the angle formula sensible and gives us the triangle inequality. Next episode, we build the cross product, a product of two vectors that returns a third, perpendicular to both, and with it we'll finally write down the equations of lines and planes in space. Today the dot product gave our vectors a ruler and a protractor. The dot product of u and v is computed by multiplying matching components and adding them up, u1 times v1 plus u2 times v2 plus u3 times v3. The output is a single number, not a vector. The whole subject hangs on one identity. The dot product of u and v equals the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v times the cosine of the angle between them. From that identity, everything follows. The dot product of a vector with itself is its length squared, so length itself comes out of the dot product. Two non-zero vectors are perpendicular, or orthogonal, exactly when their dot product is 0, because the cosine of 90 degrees is 0. Solving the identity for the cosine lets you measure the angle between any two vectors in any dimension. The projection of u onto v, the shadow u casts along the direction of v, is u dot v divided by v dot v, all times v. And the Cauchy-Schwarz inequality says the absolute value of u dot v can never exceed the magnitude of u times the magnitude of v, because a cosine is never bigger than 1. Next episode, the cross product builds a brand new perpendicular vector, and together with the dot product, it lets us finally write the equations of lines and planes in space. If you got something out of this, please like the video, drop a comment with what clicked for you or what didn't, and subscribe for more educational videos. Every like, comment, and share helps push this work to more learners, which is what this channel is really about. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.